Okay, good evening, gorgeous ones. Gonna get started right away on the read. Hope everyone is good as we see price slip 50-30, 300, 50-300, 50-300. All right, picking up on from page 126. And we're reading from the Rebel Talent, Francesca Gino's book, Rebel Talent. We had covered her bit about Pygmalion and her coming into an executive education program. And I think that we will pick it up here. When we fight stereotype threats and reframe situations by focusing on opportunities rather than potential problems, we make personal gains by embracing challenging situations that we would otherwise shy away from. But fighting, turn my volume down on the computer. See if that helps with the fan pickup. I'm not really too sure it will. Okay, when we fight stereotype threats and reframe situations by focusing on opportunities rather than potential problems, we make personal gains by embracing challenging situations that we would otherwise shy away from. But fighting a stereotype threat also has an added benefit. Our behavior, once we are part of the action, can motivate others to follow our lead. Our examples and stories can change how others think, often in powerful ways. In February 1966, 23-year-old Roberta Bobby Gibb reached into her mailbox in San Diego and eagerly tore open the letters she found from the Boston Athletic Association. She was expecting to see her race number for the upcoming Boston Marathon. Instead, she found that her request to compete had been denied because women were not allowed to race. Women, the letter said, were not physiologically able to run the race. Gibb was a lifelong runner who had been training for Boston for 2 years. On the day of the marathon, she showed up at the starting line. The hood of her sweatshirt pulled over her head to disguise her gender. When her fellow runners figured out that she was a woman, they encouraged her, and she lifted the hood. The press got wind of the news, and soon spectators were seeking her out and cheering her on. Gibb finished ahead of 2/3 of the men in the race and found the governor of Massachusetts waiting to congratulate her at the finish line. In 1972, partly inspired by Gibb, Boston Marathon officials opened the race to women. Remember, that's 1972. And you know, of course, the Boston Marathon is an elite sporting event. Examples are powerful. The daughters of working mothers grow up to benefit from their mothers' choices in their own careers, despite the old attitude that women who stay home to take care of their children are better, more devoted mothers than those who work. Women raised by working mothers are more likely to hold managerial roles than women whose mothers stay home full-time, research shows. They also earn more money. In the United States, for example, the earnings of daughters of working mothers were 23% higher than those of daughters of stay-at-home moms. As for the sons of working mothers, their mother's choice of work had no effect on their employment, but as adults, they were more likely than sons of stay-at-home mothers to share in the chores and child care. At Harvard Business School, the issue of having a diverse set of role models was discussed a few years ago in relationship to our curriculum, price $53.80, which is heavily based on case studies. In 2014, women comprised about 20% of case study protagonists. A case study, in a way, conveys to students who should be in leadership roles. With this realization, the HBS Dean of the Faculty, Nitin Noria, encouraged the faculty to seek out more cases with females and minorities as main characters. People who are brave enough to call out discrimination despite the fear of how it may affect their career can have an especially potent effect. In an October 2017 New Yorker article, journalist Ronan Farrow reported allegations that Hollywood movie mogul Harvey Weinstein had sexually assaulted multiple women. In the weeks that followed, new accusations of sexual harassment and abuse against other high-profile men surfaced. When actress Alyssa Milano urged women to share their stories using the #MeToo Twitter hashtag, thousands of women did so. At its peak, the hashtag was used 500,000 times in tweets in just a day. Okay, we are at 55:56. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at what things look like. Let's take a look. All right. Okay, I have two charts actually running. One is the Coinbase with a simple 243, and obviously we are trading below the 243, as I say there in the text. And then I have another chart which is also a Coinbase chart that has the 841. Of course, the cross has gone short, and the 243. I will tell you that the 243 is very close to the 41. This is a little it's kind of the reverse of an 841 cross. So obviously, as this widens, right, as the 243 widens from the 41, then we start kind of getting into this deep short kind of attitude, or what would be called market condition. Because the attitude of the trade right now is short based on the Ruby Cross. And if you'll just look at your chart and look at it on a smaller time frame, we're looking at it at the 1 minute because it's just a little faster for the stream, since we're not live all day long. And you'll notice that the trade did not start up at the far upper left, but about a fifth of the way on the axis, and also going short, and then it's leaning into the same, about 5% on the right axis, and so the trade is at about 45-degree angle short, okay? Or, you know what I mean. It goes from left to right. It's one of the first things that you learn how to do if you ever talk to me. You know, if you're like, well, what's going on with price? Well, you know, just where was it on the left and where is it on the right? Okay, so prior price gives us some idea of where current price is. Seems simple enough, but a lot of traders kind of forget these little rules, and so it can get, you know, going into a solid number, right? Like 50,000. So let's say when we were at 30, we really want to hold on to 30. There's these psychological numbers where people are like, you know, I'm happy to understand the volatility. You know, it's a $10,000 volatility, you know, the range. But of course, this is the full value of Bitcoin for such a long time, right? Those prices, 88 to $11,000. So to think that the range that we're having to now play in is that deep, it gets a little dicey for people that are just might just be coming into the market, or maybe in the beginning of the year they said, you know what, I'm going to start buying Bitcoin, and so to see these kind of raucous moves can be unsettling, which is why we, here, when you listen to me, it's all about the narrative. You have to be able to look at price and have a narrative of your own that's based on what you know, what you're learning, and then, of course, experience over time, just like anything else. Just like anything else in your life. And so if you can kind of calm yourself and be approaching price in that way, that price is telling you a story. And what's that story? Right? What is the story? And then how does it make you feel? This is a big thing for me. What are you going through? What is your body telling you? What is your mind telling you? And wherever the fault or weakness is, then we just have to build that, air quote, that muscle up again with more learning, more education, more narrative building, more journaling, and all of those wonderful things that make the trade oh so fun. Okay. Okie dokes. So I'm going to squeak my... I noticed this about the mic before. I'm going to squeak the mic up just a little teeny tiny bit here. And, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Remember, I will be with you. It's the noon... I always call the midnight hour. The noon hour is on us right now. I'll be with you for probably 15 more minutes or so. I'll try and get through. I'm going to see how many more pages. We may be in this chapter for quite a few days if I don't race through it a little bit more. Okay, talking about the tweets, the Me Too Twitter hashtag. At first, the tweets were coming from women in Hollywood, but they were soon joined by women in the media, then in the art world, in comedy, and politics, in all walks of life. When a few women had the courage to speak up, others were no longer afraid. We all have opportunities, big and small, to change attitudes. When I was visibly pregnant with my second daughter, Emma, I could sometimes be seen on campus doing jumping jacks, and people who walked by smiled. Others asked me what I was doing. I said, I am breaking common stereotypes, I told them. In 2009, Eileen Taylor, Deutsche Bank's managing director and global head of diversity, found herself staring at some puzzling internal data. Female managing directors were leaving the firm. The post involves stress and long hours, so it seemed possible that these women were leaving due to work-life balance issues. But when Taylor dug deeper, she found that this was not the case. They were leaving because they were taking better positions elsewhere, and after being passed up for promotions. If Deutsche Bank was neglecting the needs of promising employees and losing them as a result, that was clearly a problem that could not be ignored, Taylor realized. Companies that can maintain and expand leadership roles for women, as Taylor wanted Deutsche Bank to do, reap large benefits. Using data from 1992 through 2006, Christian Dezo of the University of Maryland and David Ross of Columbia University looked at the size and gender composition of executive management teams of most of the companies in Standard & Poor's Composite 1500 list, a group that reflects the U.S. equity market. The researchers found, on average, female leadership generated an additional $42 million in firm value, all else being equal. The study also found that firms with a particular focus on innovation experienced larger gains when women had positions in the executive ranks. In a study of 2,360 companies using data, okay, we are below 50 right now. So we are coming into the new day under 50. All right, things are going to get saucy, friends. Things are going to get saucy, and here goes the 41. And the 243 is at the 41 right now. So this is very, very dicey. Super dicey going on. Super. Warning. Warning, 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 warning. Let me change my, change the alert. Alright, so prices under the 243. Ruby Cross short 41 is on attack. All right. Okay, it's a little bit of a war, huh? Look at that. 49.50. It should too. I mean, it's got to. So, you know, the 41 fails under pressure, then we have the 243s above the 41, so this is critical to hold on here. Do, 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 do. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, I'm not going to make it look fancy. Okay, we're just going to take a look at how if you can see it right there, the golden rod and that coral pink color, that's the 41 and the 243 struggling with one another. The coral is the 243. Oh boy, guys. I'm going to take a picture of this because the tweet that I went said if we flush down to 50, we needed to talk. You can see why. Oh boy. Oh man. The 41 does not want to succumb. Look at the volatility. I don't know if you can do it, little one. But whatever it is, every 15 minutes you're going to have to do something strong. All right. Let me bring my OBS down. And if you see it go back and forth, that's because I've got the YouTube stream. Okay, so you'll see the little sliver of the YouTube. and I'll come back and forth to the YouTube. So, all right, let's keep going. I guess things are getting excited, so keep reading here. All right, let's see. In a study of 2,360 companies from using data from 2005 to 2011, researchers at the Credit Suisse Research Institute found that businesses with at least one woman on their board had lower net debt to equity, higher average returns on equity, and better average growth. Gender diversity isn't just a laudable goal, it also makes bottom-line business sense. But the benefits of more women in the workforce go beyond financial performance, surfacing in every level of an organization, including the quality of ideas and decision-making. My own research shows that gender diversity helps companies attract and retain more talent by providing a more stimulating workplace. When a potential candidate learns that a company has a gender-diverse workplace, he or she puts more effort into getting the job. Eileen Taylor took action, spearheading an internal sponsorship program called Accomplished Top Leaders Advancement Strategy, or ATLAS, that paired women leaders at Deutsche with women mentors from the bank's executive committee. Research on the careers of both whites and minorities shows a common thread among people of color who advance the furthest: a strong network of sponsors and mentors inside their organization. Developmental relationships are important for everyone climbing the organizational ladder, but especially so for women and minorities. When DuVernay needed to hire directors for OWN's Queen Sugar, she sought to hire only female directors. I also say if Game of Thrones can have 3 seasons of all male directors, why can't we have 3 seasons of all women directors? Said DuVernay in an interview for Hollywood Reporter. All the directors chosen for the first season of the show had directed one film that had been in competition at a film festival, but had not been able to find a job that would allow them to direct an episode of television. And after Queen Sugar, all of them ended up getting booked for other pilots or TV shows. Taylor's initiative at Deutsche Bank raised the visibility of women leaders and connected them with powerful advocates. A third of program participants won larger roles with the firm. Another third were deemed ready to move up when positions became available. Since Atlas launched in 2009, the number of women managing directors at Deutsche Bank had grown by 50%. The effort was worth it. Research shows the benefits of diversity in organizations, nations, communities, and groups. Research shows the benefits of diversity in organizations, nations, communities, and groups. A 2009 analysis of data from 506 firms found that those with greater gender or racial diversity had higher sales revenue, a greater number of customers, and higher profits. Another study of management teams found that those that had more diverse work and educational backgrounds came up with products that were more innovative. An analysis of international data show that nations thrive by many measures, from business to medicine to art, after opening their borders to travel and immigration. People who live in more diverse geographic areas and interact with people in other regions also reap benefits from diversity. Telephone calling patterns reveal that interaction with different geographic regions or social network diversity is associated with greater economic prosperity in a community. Oh man. Okay. What are we doing? What are we doing? Okay. Well, we still don't have the cross. That's one thing. We do not have the cross. However, kind of sloppy getting down there. Okay, we're going to switch gears here for a little bit and go ahead and read out of Architectural Digest, and I'm going to read about a getaway home in Montecito, California, and see if we can pick out some of the gorgeousness here. All right, without mentioning names. Her work merges a love of English country style, the gracious hospitality of her native New Orleans, and the laid-back attitude of Los Angeles. In her store, Hollyhock, for 3 decades, she shared her passion for painted furniture, George III mahogany, blue and white porcelain, and plush upholstery. Her fabric line for Lee Jaffa is full of fresh interpretations of florals, paisleys, and icots. And yet the getaway that she recently created for herself in Montecito is pared down, serene, and almost startling in its simplicity. She had long been hoping to find a house in the area, even before the death in 2013 of her husband, Fred, an influential television entrepreneur. I've been trying for years to convince Fred, but he always thought I was trying to put him out to pasture, she says with a laugh. Her desire intensified when 2 years after her husband's death, she suffered an accident that shattered her left foot and elbow, required 2 major surgeries, and left her virtually immobile for months. I was in the hospital, coming out of surgery and still anesthesia-addled, when I saw photos and a floor plan of this house. She said it hit the market on a Friday, and that Monday I'd put in a bid without even seeing it. The house, built in 1971, was in pretty horrible shape, she admits, but it had fantastic views of the Santa Ynez Mountains. The property was sad and overgrown, but it had a huge backyard with a circular pool. I joked it would be great for senior synchronized swimming. She turned for help to the AD 100 team of Boris and Chiron architecture. From the outside, the house had a kind of 1970s Fire Island aesthetic. It was totally out of the moment, but it also had a kind of abstract, sculptural quality. The more we looked at it, the more we realized that it related to the early Montecito Spanish vernacular. There was real form underneath all of that fashion of its moment. Now the house looks and feels shockingly different, even though we kept the building envelope. Let's see. Oh, I like that. Need to take a look at that a little bit better. Huh. The middle of the road. Very, very interesting. All right. Okay, so we passed the quarter of an hour. We lived through the midnight hour, and I think that will be it. Make sure you check the link, of course, the pinned post, and get yourself involved with StreamYard. And once you do so, definitely come back and let me know what wonderful things you plan on doing. I'd love to hear from you. This has been BeautyBubble for Bitcoin Condition of Price here over at the StreamYard Wow and YouTube. Thanks again, of course, to YouTube for hosting and giving us, the tool. I really do appreciate it, and I'll talk to everyone later. Bye-bye now.